Hello to the congregation of Freehold Jewish Center, Agudath, Achim. This is Rabbi Langer, and I'm coming to you live from our main sanctuary. As you can see, I have an N95 mask. As the Director of Pastoral Care at the Jewish Home for Rehabilitation and Nursing in Freehold, I am required to wear the mask at work. However, while I'm here, I can take the mask off, which is what I'm going to do now. It is now so much easier to talk to you. Today I'm going to cover a few things. Next week, of course, is Pesach, starting Wednesday night, Thursday and Friday, having a Sidarim on Wednesday night, our second Seder on Thursday night, rolling right into Shabbos on Friday night, and of course Saturday. Saturday night will begin Chol HaMoed, with Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday being Chol HaMoed, and then we roll right in Wednesday night to, again, the last days of Pesach, day 7 and day 8. So I'm here to tell you a few things. Yes, this Passover Seder will be different than any other Seder that you've ever had. We will be at home. Many of us will be having a Seder for one or two. In my home, we'll be having a Seder for two, just my wife and I. None of our children, none of our friends, none of our colleagues, none of our congregants, just the two of us. And it's going to be different. And I'd like to just give you a little bit of insight that, in fact, sheds tears. The Seder night is about having questions, not necessarily answered. Of course, the first question that we ask is, why is this night different than all the other nights? And it's Pesach. That's an easy answer. The question that I'm receiving from all kinds of people is, why is COVID around? And we don't have an answer. The answer to Pesach, of course, is about celebrating. But how many times can you celebrate when we live through times of darkness? And COVID-19 is truly a time of darkness. But we've endured darkness. We've endured untold pain. We've endured suffering. We've endured isolation. Yet we were redeemed every single time, and ever brought to a better place. And I'm here to tell you that I believe that better place is not far ahead of us. While we crunch through the matzah and down those 4 cups of highly induced alcohol wine, something maybe to comfort us in this challenging time, much needed wine, let's reflect on the holidays' duality of slavery and freedom, of confusion and clarity, of light and of darkness, of goodness and of sadness. Listen, hindsight is 20/20. If we knew a year ago what was going to happen right now, in 2020, just maybe all of us would have been a little bit more prepared. Then again, it's difficult to prepare for something that we don't even know. We read through our story in the Haggadah of 200 years of gruesome slavery, and we recognize the brilliant narrative of that very adversity transforming us into an eternal nation. So, this year's Haggadah may be the COVID Haggadah. And maybe COVID-19 needs a little kavod. Maybe we need to have just a little respect for this terrible, terrible virus. How this will end, how this Haggadah will come to an end, I don't know. We don't know. But we do know this, that at the end we will be free. There will be clarity and light. And we genuinely yearn for a time when we can all celebrate a Pesach Seder together in Jerusalem with a rebuilt temple. May it happen speedily in our time. Amen. This week's Parsha is Parsha Tzav, and I'd like to give you some insights concerning this week's Parsha. In addition, this is Shabbos Hagadol, which is the great Shabbos just before Passover. First, I'd like to tell you just a little bit about the Aliyot for the Parsha, which starts out with the additional instructions regarding the Olah sacrifice, the ascent offering, and the Mincha, the meal offering. Those are detailed in the first Aliyah. In the second Aliyah, we have a special meal offering of the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, and the special inaugural meal offering of the regular Kohen is described. This way, the same offering in both cases. However, the Kohen Gadol brought his offering every day, while the regular Kohen did only on the day of his inauguration into the service to the Beit HaMikdash, to the Holy Temple. Additional laws of the sin offering and the guilt offering are also detailed. The third Aliyah are about additional laws of peace offering and are detailed along with those portions of the offering that must be shared with the Kohen. And then we get to the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, kind of grouped together, and the remainder of the Parsha describing the first 7 days of the inaugural process for Aaron and his 4 sons. Moshe functions as the Kohen Gadol to officiate as Aaron becomes the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, and his sons are forbidden to leave the Mishkan at the entire time. The short summary of the Parsha. Now, well, that's easy to give you the information on that short part concerning sacrifices. What is the definition of a sacrifice? Truly, everyone has a different definition for a sacrifice. A sacrifice meaning giving of something that you really don't want to give up. What is it that we don't want to give up? We don't want to give up our homes.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. We don't want to give up our homes. We don't want to give up our cars. We don't want to give up much of anything. But in fact, a korban, which is the entire book of Vayikra, this the second chapter, Tzav, is about getting closer to God, the Hebrew word karov. I want to tell you a little story about a respected woman in a Jewish community who told another friend of mine, she said, I think God is sending this virus as a response to all the negativity that has been so prevalent in society. And I told her, I just read a sermon about that. Well, while I could preach about the fact that God may be punishing us or may be rewarding us, we don't know which is which. The fact is that the virus is what it is. The virus has caused major havoc in our lives. Families are affected by illness, by quarantine, death, loss of jobs, downturn of the financial markets. I think people are really thinking inwardly and reaching out to others in kindness. Hopefully, with God's help, we will soon emerge from this as a better people, as a better country, as a better world. Maybe this is a time that we're going to enter into some type of brotherhood among all people. Black, white, red, and yellow, Jews and non-Jews alike. Being on lockdown affords us the opportunity to focus on our personal lives. We get to look inward. How many times do you walk by the mirror and look at yourself? We look at our lives and we look at the circumstances and we can contemplate and we can make an assessment. We can think about who we were just a few short weeks ago, who we are now, who we are going to be when all of this comes to an end. Yes, this is Parshas Tzav, which means command, but it's also Shabbos Hagadol, the great Shabbos before Pesach, And what is it about? It is about purification. It's a time to reflect on the true blessings God has afforded us, has given us, without having to compare ourselves to anyone else, since we are not noticing what we have. It is said, Ezehu Ashir, who is a person of wealth, Hasamech Bechelko, a person who is happy with their lot. How many people are truly happy with their lot? It says in Pirkei Avos, a person who has too much stuff, too much money, too many things, has greater worries. Because they're worrying about their things. They're not happy with their lot. It's time to reflect on the lot. Yes, we still have access to the media. We're exposed to what's going on. We're watching the news, all kinds of different formats. Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC. We're watching online, all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, our normal pursuits and societal pressures are definitely modified. And we have time to focus on what's truly a priority. There are only 3 priorities in life. There's God at the top of the list. And very near the top of the list is your family. Everything else is way down the bottom of the list. Your job comes lower, way down lower. God and family come first. And as you're sitting at home, think about that. You see, we have to look at ourselves and think about what's important. It's interesting that when God created the universe, we have Adam and Eve. And Adam and Eve conceive, and there's Cain. And what does Cain do? He has a brother, Hevel, and Cain kills his brother. The first chapter of the Torah has a murder in it. The underlying root that provoked this devastating deed was jealousy. Okay, jealousy. Children will be learning from memories and traditions of their families. They have to stay away from jealousy. They can't have jealousy for one for another. They must realize that they are a family. And as a family, they can approach God. We must approach God in a way that we are commanded. We have to realize that Pesach is coming. And when we opened the door for Eliyahu Hanavi, whether he's wearing a mask and gloves or not, be ready to receive him. Because after Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet, visits you, he has to leave and visit millions of others. So remember, love your brother, love your sister, love your mother and father, and the entire family. And remember that this week's Parsha of Tzav is commandment upon Kohanim, upon priests. We are a nation of priests. And as a nation of priests, we must serve as an example. May God return to us with a positive cure to COVID-19, to bless our children that they will not have to live through any more difficulties and challenges like this. May God be inspired to send us Eliyahu to herald in a time of freedom and redemption for all. And we can conclude our Sidarim singing L'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim next year in Jerusalem. In these worrying, concerning and uncertain times. We turn to Hashem in prayer. Prayers display our belief, our trust that God is our hero, that God can provide and direct a remedy to cure all things. No matter how distant you may feel from God, approach God. Recite Tehillim, recite Psalms, Psalms that you may have never read. Look at them. Listen to their words. Feel them. And maybe, just maybe, we'll have a cure sooner than later. I want to close with two things. What is it that hope brings? No, I'm not the author of this, but the author is unknown. The author is anonymous. What does hope bring? Hope discovers what can be done instead of grumbling about what cannot. Hope looks for the good in people instead of harping on the worst. Hope draws its power from a deep trust in God and the basic goodness of human nature. Hope opens doors where despair closes them. Hope lights a candle instead of cursing the darkness. Hope regards problems, small and large, as opportunities. Hope cherishes no illusions, nor does it yield to cynicism. Hope sets big goals and is not frustrated by repeated difficulties or setbacks. Hope pushes ahead when it would be easy to quit. Hope accepts misunderstandings as the price for serving the greater good of others. Hope is a good loser because it has divine assurance of final victory. Not part of the poem was a wonderful line from the movie Shawshank Redemption. Hope is a good thing. Have hope. Tomorrow will bring better days. Remember, are we scared? Yes. Are we anxious? Sometimes. Instead of telling us we're crazy, tell us you're proud. Instead of telling us to stay home, pray for us. Instead of telling us the latest news you heard, ask us what we've heard about staying safe. So I pray for all of you to be safe. Text me. Send me an email. Call me. And hopefully you'll hear from me again soon. Have a wonderful Shabbos and a Chag Kasher v'Sameach, a happy and healthy Pesach.